The waves crashed against the rocky shore with unusual force that evening. Dr. Maya Rodriguez had seen many storms along this remote stretch of California coastline, but tonight felt different. She pulled her research boat closer to the shore. Checking her equipment one more time before heading back to her temporary camp, Maya worked as a marine scientist, spending weeks at isolated beaches, studying water quality and sea life. She loved the quiet solitude of these research trips, away from busy labs and crowded cities. Tonight, she was wrapping up 3 weeks of collecting water samples and documenting changes in the local ecosystem as she secured her boat. Something caught her eye in the water. Strange blue lights were dancing beneath the waves, not like anything she had ever seen before. At first she thought it might be bioluminescent plankton, but these lights moved differently. They pulsed in patterns that seemed almost purposeful. Maya grabbed her underwater flashlight and waded into the shallow water to get a better look. The blue glow was getting brighter, and she could see it was coming from deeper waters near the rocky cliffs. She had studied marine biology for over 10 years. This was completely new to her. Suddenly, the peaceful evening was shattered by sounds of struggle. Someone was in the water, and they were in serious trouble. Maya could hear splashing and what sounded like calls for help, though the voice seemed strange, almost musical in tone. Without hesitation, Maya grabbed her emergency rescue gear from the boat. She always carried safety equipment when working alone in remote areas. The water was rough, and whoever was out there wouldn't last long in these conditions. She jumped into her small rescue kayak and paddled hard toward the sounds, the blue. Lights were still glowing under the water, creating an eerie but beautiful scene. As she got closer, she could see a figure struggling against the powerful waves near the rocks. The person appeared to be a young woman, maybe in her early 20s. But even in the dim evening light, Maya could tell something was unusual about her. She moved in the water differently than any swimmer Maya had ever seen, almost like she was more comfortable underwater than on the surface. Maya reached the struggling woman just as a large wave pushed her toward the jagged rocks. "I'm here to help," Maya shouted over the sound of the crashing waves. "Grab onto the kayak." The woman looked up at Maya with eyes that seemed unusually large and bright, even in the darkness. She reached for the kayak with movements that were graceful, but somehow not quite human. Her skin had a faint shimmer to it, and Maya noticed what looked like thin lines along her neck that seemed to be moving slightly, working together. They managed to get the woman onto the back of the kayak. Maya paddled as hard as she could toward the beach, fighting against the strong current. The woman held on tightly but didn't speak, only making soft sounds that reminded Maya of whale songs she had heard during her research. As they reached the shore, Maya helped the woman onto the sand. In the moonlight, she could see her rescuer more clearly now. The woman was definitely human-like, but with features that were subtly different. Her limbs were slightly longer than normal, her fingers more slender, and those strange lines along her neck were definitely not natural human markings. The woman was shivering and seemed disoriented. She kept looking back at the water with an expression of distress and longing. Maya realized she might be dealing with someone who was lost or separated from others. "Are you okay? Were there others with you?" Maya asked gently, wrapping a warm blanket around the woman's shoulders. The woman looked at Maya with gratitude in her unusual eyes. But when she tried to speak, only melodic sounds came out. She seemed to understand Maya's words but couldn't respond in English. Instead, she pointed to the water and made gestures that suggested others were missing. Maya felt her scientific mind racing. Everything about this situation was extraordinary, but her first priority was making sure this person was safe and healthy. Whatever questions she had about the woman's unusual appearance could wait. She helped the woman stand and guided her toward the small research camp Maya had set up near the beach. The camp consisted of a sturdy tent, some basic equipment, and emergency supplies. It wasn't much, but it would provide shelter and warmth as they walked. Maya noticed the woman moved with a flowing, almost dance-like grace. Her feet seemed to barely touch the ground, and she kept pausing to look back at the ocean. The blue lights were still visible under the water, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. "My name is Maya," she said, pointing to herself. "Can you tell me your name?" The woman tilted her head thoughtfully, then made a sound that was like a combination of music and water flowing over stones. She pointed to herself and repeated the sound several times. Maya tried to imitate it, but knew she wasn't getting it quite right. The woman smiled for the first time, and Maya was struck by how beautiful and otherworldly that smile was. Whatever was happening here, she was determined to help this mysterious person find her way home. At the research camp, Maya helped the woman sit by a small battery-powered heater. She offered water and some simple food, watching carefully too. See how the woman reacted to everything? The woman drank the water eagerly, but seemed uncertain about the food as the night grew deeper. Maya realized this was just the beginning of what would likely be the most extraordinary experience of her life. The blue lights continued to pulse in the ocean. The woman continued to make her musical sounds while pointing toward the water. And Maya knew that tomorrow would bring questions she never thought she would have to ask. She looked at her new companion, who was now resting peacefully by the heater, occasionally humming those beautiful, haunting melodies. Whatever secrets this night had revealed, Maya was committed to helping solve the mystery and ensuring this remarkable person found her way back to wherever she belonged. The ocean waves continued their eternal rhythm, but now they seemed to be whispering secrets that only Maya and her mysterious visitor could begin to understand. Maya woke up at dawn to find her mysterious guest sitting by the water's edge, humming those same beautiful melodies from the night before. The woman had wrapped herself in the blanket Maya gave her, but she seemed drawn to the ocean like a magnet pulls metal. "Good morning," Maya said softly, not wanting to startle her. The woman turned and gave her that otherworldly smile again. In the morning light, Maya could see her features even more clearly. Her skin had a pearl-like quality that seemed to shimmer slightly. Now, those unusual markings along her neck were definitely not tattoos or scars. Maya had spent half the night thinking about what she had witnessed. As a scientist, she tried to find logical explanations for everything. Maybe the woman was from a remote island culture. Maybe those neck markings were from some kind of medical condition. Maybe the blue lights in the water were just an unusual type of plankton she hadn't encountered before. But deep down, Maya knew she was trying to explain away something that defied normal explanation. She brought some breakfast down to the beach. Simple crackers, dried fruit, and bottled water. The woman accepted the water gratefully, but seemed puzzled by the solid food. She picked up a cracker, examined it carefully, then tried to dissolve it in the water before eating it. "Interesting," Maya murmured to herself. She pulled out her notebook and started writing down observations, falling back on her scientific training to make sense of the situation. The woman watched Maya write with obvious curiosity. When Maya offered her the pen, she took it with those graceful, elongated fingers and began drawing in the sand instead. Her drawings were unlike anything Maya had seen, flowing curved shapes that seemed to move even when they were perfectly still. "Hey, are you trying to show me something?" Maya asked, crouching down beside her. The woman nodded enthusiastically and pointed to her drawings, then to the ocean. She drew what looked like curved structures underwater, then smaller figures moving between them. She kept pointing to herself, and then to the drawings, as if trying to explain where she came from. Maya studied the drawings carefully. They looked like buildings or settlements, but designed for underwater living. The woman drew more figures, pointing to them, and then looking sad. She made gestures that suggested these other figures were missing or lost. "You're looking for your family?" Maya asked gently. "Your friends?" The woman's expression brightened, and she nodded vigorously. She pointed to Maya, then to herself, then made swimming motions toward the ocean. It was clear she wanted help searching for the others. Maya felt her heart racing. If her growing suspicions were correct, she was looking at someone who wasn't entirely human. The thought should have terrified her, but instead she felt an overwhelming sense of wonder and responsibility. "Okay," Maya said, surprising herself with how quickly she made the decision. "Let's look for your friends." She went back to her camp and gathered her diving equipment. Maya was an experienced diver, certified for deep-water research. If there were others like this woman in the nearby waters, her skills might be the key to finding them. The woman watched with fascination as Maya put on her wetsuit and checked her oxygen tank. When Maya gestured for her to stay on the beach, the woman shook her head firmly. She pointed to herself, then to the water, making it clear she intended to come along. "I don't have extra diving gear," Maya explained, though she suspected the woman might not need it. To demonstrate, the woman walked into the shallow water. As the waves reached her waist, something remarkable happened. Those line-like markings along her neck began to flutter slightly, and she moved through the water with impossible grace and speed. She could obviously breathe underwater as easily. As on land, Maya waded in after her, amazed by what she was seeing. The woman moved like she was born for the water, more comfortable there than she had been on dry land. She swam circles around Maya, encouraging her to follow deeper. They spent the morning searching the underwater caves and rock formations along the coastline. Maya had explored these waters many times during her research, but now she was seeing them through completely different eyes. The woman seemed to know exactly where to look, leading Maya to hidden underwater passages she never knew existed, in one of the deeper caves. They found strange markings on the rocks, symbols that matched the flowing designs the woman had drawn. In the sand, the woman became excited, swimming faster and making more of those musical sounds that echoed beautifully through the underwater cavern, but they found no sign of the woman's missing companions. By afternoon, both Maya and her new friend were exhausted from searching. They returned to the beach, where the woman sat quietly looking out at the horizon. Maya could see the sadness in her unusual eyes. "We'll keep looking," Maya promised, even though she wasn't sure the woman understood her words. But somehow, the woman seemed to understand the intent behind them. As the day progressed, Maya began to notice other things about her mysterious guest. She seemed to understand much more English than she could speak. She was incredibly intelligent, quickly figuring out how Maya's equipment worked, and even helping to organize her research materials in ways that made perfect sense. Most remarkably, the woman had an intuitive understanding of marine life that far exceeded Maya's years of training. She could predict where schools of fish would appear, seemed to communicate with dolphins that came near the shore, and knew which areas of water were healthiest just by touching them. That evening, as they sat by Maya's small campfire, the woman began trying to teach Maya some of her musical language. She would point to objects and make specific melodic sounds, repeating them patiently until Maya could approximate the tones. Maya realized she was learning not just words, but an entirely different way of thinking about sound and communication. This wasn't just a language, it was like music and science and poetry all combined into one beautiful form of expression. As night fell, the blue lights returned to the water. The woman stood up immediately, her whole body tense with hope and longing. She made a series of complex musical calls toward the ocean, then waited, listening intently. Maya held her breath, hoping to hear an answer that would reunite her new friend with her people. The ocean remained silent except for the eternal rhythm of the waves, but Maya could see that the woman hadn't given up hope. Tomorrow, they would search again. On the third morning, Maya woke to find her guest sitting in the shallow water, creating the most beautiful patterns she had ever seen. The woman was arranging shells, stones, and pieces of seaweed into intricate designs that seemed to tell a story. "What are you making?" Maya asked, sitting down beside her in the sand. The woman smiled and pointed to her creation. She had made a circular pattern with shells representing what looked like stars, and in the center, she had placed smooth blue stones in the shape of a world covered mostly by water. Around this water world, she had created smaller circles with different colored stones. Maya studied the pattern carefully. It looked like a map of some kind, but not of anywhere on Earth. The woman pointed to one of the smaller circles, then to herself, then to the water world in the center. She was showing Maya where she came from. "You're not from Earth," Maya said quietly. It wasn't really a question anymore. After 3 days of watching this remarkable person, Maya had moved beyond trying to find normal explanations for what she was seeing. The woman nodded, seeming relieved that Maya finally understood. She pointed to the star pattern above the water world, then to the sky. Her home was somewhere among the stars, but the water world was where she had been living and working. Using her stone and shell map, the woman began to tell Maya her story. She showed how her people traveled between water worlds, studying life in the oceans. She indicated that she was part of a small group that had come to Earth's oceans to learn about the creatures that lived there. Maya watched in fascination as the woman demonstrated how her people could live both in water and air, adapting to different environments. She showed Maya the gill-like structures along her neck, which could close when she was on land and open when she was underwater. Explorers? Maya said with wonder. Like underwater astronauts? The woman seemed to understand Maya's meaning and nodded enthusiastically. She added more stones to her pattern, showing Maya how her exploration vessel had been damaged in a storm. She and her two companions had been separated when they tried to escape to safety. Maya felt a deep admiration for this brave explorer who had traveled so far from home just to study and understand life in Earth's waters. She also felt the weight of responsibility. Somehow she had become this woman's only hope of finding her missing friends and getting home safely. That afternoon, Maya decided to expand their search. She had been thinking about the underwater cave systems in the area, particularly some deeper caves she had never fully explored because they required special equipment. "I have an idea," Maya told her friend, pulling out detailed maps of the ocean floor around their location. The woman examined Maya's maps with obvious intelligence, quickly understanding how to read the depth markings and underwater formations. She pointed to several areas on the map, making excited sounds when she recognized places they had already searched. Then she stopped at one section of the map that showed a series of deep, underwater caves about 2 miles from shore. She tapped the map repeatedly and made urgent musical sounds, looking directly at Maya. "You think they might be there?" Maya asked. The woman nodded vigorously and began drawing in the sand again. She showed Maya how her people's exploration vessel was designed to hide in underwater caves when they needed to make repairs. The deep caves would provide perfect shelter and protection. Maya looked at the map again. Those particular caves were at the very edge of her diving capabilities, requiring her most advanced equipment and careful planning. But if there was a chance of finding the woman's companions, she had to try. They spent the rest of the day preparing for the deeper dive. Maya checked and double-checked all her equipment, while the woman helped in ways that showed her remarkable understanding of underwater exploration technology. As Maya worked, the woman began teaching her more of her musical language. Maya learned that her friend's name sounded like flowing water over smooth stones, impossible for Maya to pronounce perfectly, but beautiful to hear. In return, Maya taught her friend to say Maya in English. The woman also began to share more about her people and their world through gestures, drawings, and her musical speech. She explained how they lived in magnificent underwater cities where art and science flowed together like currents in the ocean.
Oh.
She showed Maya how they grew their food from sea plants and how they traveled between worlds in vessels that moved through water as easily as space. Maya found herself completely fascinated by these glimpses into a civilization that was both ancient and incredibly advanced. These weren't invaders or conquerors. They were peaceful researchers who respected all forms of life. That evening, as they prepared for the next day's challenging dive, Maya realized how much her life had changed in just a few days. She had always loved her work studying marine life, but now she understood that the oceans held secrets far beyond anything she had ever imagined. The woman sat beside her, humming one of her haunting melodies while watching the stars appear over the ocean. Maya could see the longing in her expression, the hope that tomorrow they would find her missing friends, and the deeper sadness of being so far from her true home among the stars. "We'll find them," Maya promised, even though she knew the dangers they would face in the deep caves tomorrow. Her friend seemed to understand the promise in Maya's voice. She reached over and took Maya's hand with her graceful fingers, squeezing gently in a gesture of gratitude that needed no translation. As they sat together under the star-filled sky, Maya marveled at the unexpected friendship that had formed between them. Despite coming from different worlds, they had found ways to communicate, to trust each other, and to work together toward a common goal. The ocean stretched out before them, dark and mysterious, holding secrets that tomorrow might finally reveal. Maya had never felt more nervous or more excited about a dive in her entire career. Somewhere in those deep underwater caves, they might find the answers they were looking for. The woman continued her soft humming, and Maya found the alien melody strangely comforting. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, sitting beside her remarkable friend under the infinite stars, Maya felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. The adventure was just beginning. Maya checked her diving equipment one final time as the sun began to rise over the ocean. Today's dive would be the most challenging of her career, but she felt ready. Her alien friend stood beside her, looking calm and confident despite the worry Maya could see in her unusual eyes. The boat ride to the deep cave location took almost an hour. Maya piloted her research vessel while her companion sat at the front, occasionally pointing to underwater formations that only she could see. Beneath the waves, the woman's ability to read the ocean was incredible. She seemed to know exactly where the currents flowed and where the sea floor changed depth. When they reached the diving spot, Maya anchored the boat carefully. The water here was much deeper and darker than where they had searched before. According to her maps, the cave entrance was nearly 60 feet down, at the very limit of what she could safely manage. "Are you sure about this?" Maya asked, though she knew her friend couldn't fully understand the English words. But the woman seemed to sense Maya's concern and nodded with determination. Maya put on her wetsuit and diving gear while her companion slipped into the water with her natural grace. Even after several days, Maya still marveled at how perfectly adapted the woman was for underwater life. She moved through the water like it was her true home. They descended slowly, Maya following her depth gauge, while her friend guided them toward the cave entrance. The water grew colder and darker as they went deeper, but strange blue lights began appearing around them, the same mysterious glow Maya had first noticed several nights ago. Her companion became excited when she saw the lights, making musical sounds that bubbled through the water, swam ahead, moving with purpose toward what looked like just another rocky outcrop on the ocean floor. But as they got closer, Maya realized it wasn't just rock. Hidden behind natural stone formations was an opening that led into a massive underwater cave system. The blue lights were coming from inside the caves, pulsing gently like a beacon. Maya followed her friend through the entrance, using her underwater flashlight to supplement the strange blue glow. The caves were far larger than anything she had expected, vast chambers connected by tunnels that seemed to stretch on forever. As they swam deeper into the cave system, Maya began to see things that made her breath catch in her diving mask. The walls were covered with symbols and patterns that matched what her friend had drawn in the sand. But these weren't just drawings, they seemed to be made. Some kind of living light that pulsed and shifted as they watched. Her companion became more and more excited, swimming faster through the tunnels while Maya worked to keep up. The woman clearly knew where she was going, following passages that led deeper into the heart of the underwater mountain. Finally, they emerged into the largest chamber Maya had ever seen. It was like swimming into an underwater cathedral, with arched ceilings that disappeared into darkness above them. But what took Maya's breath away wasn't the size of the space. It was what was inside it. Floating in the center of the chamber was a vessel unlike anything Maya could have imagined. It looked like it was made of the same living light as the symbols on the walls, but solid enough to be real. The craft was beautiful and organic, shaped like a giant sea creature, but clearly built by intelligent hands. Her friend let out a series of joyful musical calls that echoed through the water. Almost immediately, Maya heard answering calls from somewhere inside the vessel. Two figures emerged from what must have been an airlock, moving toward them with obvious relief and excitement. Maya watched in amazement as the three beings reunited. Their greeting was like an underwater dance, full of grace and emotion that needed no translation. She could see the joy and relief in their movements as they confirmed that everyone was safe. But Maya also noticed that one of the newcomers moved, slowly, as if injured. Her friend immediately became concerned, supporting her companion while making urgent musical sounds. The third being, who seemed to be the leader of the group, swam over to examine the injured one more closely. Maya realized that her medical training might be useful here. She swam closer, pointing to herself, and then to the injured being. Trying to communicate that she wanted to help, the leader studied Maya with intelligent eyes that seemed to see right through her. After a moment, the being made a series of musical sounds to Maya's friend, who responded with what sounded like explanations and reassurances. Maya's friend took her hand and guided her toward the vessel. As they approached, Maya could see that it wasn't just damage from the storm, it had been carefully hidden and camouflaged. These beings were experts at avoiding detection while they conducted their research. Inside the vessel, Maya found herself in a space that was both alien and strangely familiar. Everything was designed for beings who lived in water, but the technology was clearly far advanced beyond anything humans had developed. Panels of living light provided information and control systems that responded to touch and sound. The injured being was resting in what appeared to be a medical bay. Maya examined the injuries carefully, recognizing some familiar patterns despite the alien physiology. The being had been caught in the storm that separated the group, suffering injuries similar to what Maya had treated in marine animals caught in rough weather. Using her first aid supplies and working alongside the group's leader, Maya helped stabilize the injured explorer. It was remarkable how similar their basic biology was to Earth's marine life. Despite their obvious differences, as they worked together, Maya began to understand more about these remarkable visitors. They communicated through combinations of musical sounds and bioluminescent displays that created patterns of light on their skin. Their technology was completely integrated with their biology, creating tools that seemed to be alive. The leader showed Maya star charts that were displayed in three-dimensional light patterns. Maya could see the route they had traveled to reach Earth, passing through numerous water worlds in their quest to study and understand different forms of ocean life. Her friend translated as much as she could, helping Maya understand that they had been studying Earth's oceans for several months, always staying hidden while documenting the incredible diversity of life in Earth's seas. They had been preparing to leave when the storm struck and separated them. As the injured being recovered, Maya realized that she was witnessing something extraordinary. These weren't conquerors or invaders. They were scientists and explorers. Just like herself, they shared her passion for understanding and protecting ocean life, but from a perspective that spanned multiple worlds. The reunion was complete, but Maya could see new challenges ahead. The vessel needed repairs before it could safely make the journey home, and Maya was the only human who knew about their existence. The decisions made in the next few hours would affect not just these three remarkable beings, but possibly the future of both their species. Standing in that incredible underwater chamber, surrounded by technology that seemed like magic and beings who had traveled between the stars, Maya realized her life would never be the same. Maya spent 3 more days helping the alien explorers repair their vessel. Working alongside them was like nothing she had ever experienced. Their technology seemed to respond to thought and touch in ways that made her own equipment look primitive. The leader of the group, who Maya learned to call Keeper through their musical language, showed her incredible respect for someone who had risked her life to help a stranger. The injured explorer, who had recovered completely thanks to Maya's medical assistance and their advanced healing methods, seemed especially grateful. But Maya's friend, one she had first rescued from the ocean, appeared troubled as the repairs neared completion. She would often swim away from the group to float alone in the vast underwater chamber, humming sad melodies that echoed through the water. On the final day, as the vessel prepared for departure, Keeper approached Maya with something that looked like a living crystal. The object pulsed with gentle light and felt warm to the touch, even underwater. Through a combination of gestures, musical sounds, and the translation help of Maya's friend, Keeper explained that they faced a serious problem. Maya had seen too much. She knew about their existence, their technology, and their mission. This knowledge could change everything if it reached other humans. Maya felt her heart sink. She understood what they were suggesting, as they might need to somehow erase her memories of the past week, or worse. They might need to take her with them to protect their secret. But Keeper surprised her with what came next. Instead of threats or demands, the alien leader offered Maya something unprecedented, a choice that would change her life forever. They could take her with them on their journey through the water worlds, showing her oceans beyond anything Earth. could offer. Maya would see civilizations that had learned to live in perfect harmony with their aquatic environments. She would study marine life that had evolved on planets with different stars and different rules. The offer was everything Maya had ever dreamed of as a marine scientist. She would be the first human to see worlds beyond Earth, to study life forms that existed nowhere else in the known universe. The knowledge she would gain could advance human understanding by centuries. Maya floated in the underwater chamber, holding the glowing crystal while her mind raced with possibilities. The alien explorers waited patiently for her answer, giving her time to process the magnitude of what they were offering. But as Maya thought about it, she realized something important about herself. Her love for Earth's oceans wasn't just about studying them, it was about protecting them. The seas of her home planet were in trouble, dying from pollution and climate change that threatened all marine life. "I'm honored by your offer," Maya finally said, knowing that Keeper could understand her intent even if the words were unclear. "But I belong here. Earth's oceans need protection, and I think I can help them more by staying." Her friend swam over to Maya, clearly sad but seeming to understand her decision. Through their musical communication, she helped translate Maya's choice to the others. Keeper studied Maya for a long moment, then made a sound that somehow conveyed both respect and disappointment. But instead of accepting Maya's refusal, the alien leader had another proposal. If Maya chose to stay on Earth, it would give her something else: knowledge and tools that could help heal her planet's damaged oceans. They had studied thousands of water worlds, many of which had faced similar environmental challenges. They knew how to restore coral reefs, how to clean polluted waters, and how to help marine ecosystems recover from damage. Maya felt tears forming in her diving mask as she understood what they were offering. She could stay on Earth and use their advanced knowledge to become the marine conservationist her planet desperately needed. Keeper placed the crystal in Maya's hands permanently. Through her friend's translation, Maya learned that the device contained centuries of knowledge about ocean restoration and marine biology. It would slowly release information to her over time, allowing her to develop new techniques and solutions gradually. But there was one important condition. Maya could never reveal the source of her knowledge. She would need to present her discoveries as breakthroughs in her own research, never mentioning the alien visitors who had made it all possible. Maya accepted the terms without hesitation. She understood the importance of protecting their secret, while using their gift to help her own world. As the time came for departure, the three explorers prepared to leave their underwater sanctuary. Maya helped them activate systems that would hide all traces of their presence in the caves. Future divers would find nothing but empty rock formations. Her friend approached Maya one final time, offering her own personal gift, a small living, an organism that glowed with the same blue light Maya had first seen in the ocean. Through gestures, her friend explained that this creature could help restore damaged coral reefs by encouraging new growth and fighting off harmful bacteria. The goodbye was emotional, even though they came from different worlds. Maya and her friend had formed a bond that transcended species. Built on mutual respect and shared love for the ocean's mysteries, Maya watched as the alien vessel powered up, filling the underwater chamber with beautiful patterns of light. The craft rose smoothly through the water and disappeared into the depths, heading for a journey that would take them back to the stars. Alone in the vast underwater chamber, Maya held her to precious gifts: the crystal containing advanced knowledge, and the living organism that could help heal Earth's reefs. She had made the right choice. 6 months later, Dr. Maya Rodriguez published the first of many groundbreaking papers on marine conservation. Her innovative techniques for coral reef restoration amazed the scientific community and offered new hope for Earth's struggling oceans. Maya never spoke about the true source of her knowledge. But sometimes, when she was alone on her research boat, watching the sun set over the ocean, she would hum the haunting melodies her alien friend had taught her. The blue light still appeared in the water occasionally, reminding Maya that somewhere, among the stars, her friends continued their peaceful mission of studying and protecting the infinite oceans of the universe, and Earth's oceans slowly but surely began to heal.